My fiance doesn't want to sleep with me because of something I did years ago. My fiance put up a pillow barrier in our bed and won't take it down. This problem goes back, way back. I'm almost 38, so is he, we're only 3 weeks apart. I'll call him Caleb for this post. Caleb and I met when we were 14 years old in drama club at a Catholic high school, so we have a lot of history. We have been together for 17 years, though we've known each other for 24 years. We're also getting married in 2 weeks, but that's not really relevant here. I've been a terrible sleeper all my life. It started back in high school when my family moved to another city and my room ended up being in the basement. I got used to sleeping in complete darkness and silence and being more comfortable on the colder side. Every sleeping situation I've had to deal with since then has been a downgrade in some way, whether it's too bright, too warm, or too noisy. I also hate the feeling of my skin touching itself, so I wrap my sheets around every limb, even between my fingers, to keep everything separated. Over the years, I've had to adapt to this by using the highest NRR earplugs I can find, putting up blackout curtains over all windows, and keeping the AC set to 66F or lower. I also buy oversized sheets to allow for the extra fabric yardage I need to keep my skin from touching itself. It's still not perfect, but it works for the most part. Of course, that means Caleb, as well as any exes, have had to deal my insanity as part of the package of being with me. I recognize I'm lucky to have landed a man at all, trust me. Even when my sleeping terms have been met, I'm still not always a polite sleeping partner. An ex once described my behavior as like a corpse in a washing machine. He was so frustrated that he also took a video of my antics one time to show me what I'm like, and honestly his description was accurate. A couple years ago, Caleb finally had enough of my crap and suggested we get separate. Duvets. We have a lot of Scandinavian friends for some reason, and I guess they told him it's normal for couples in their part of the world to have their own duvets, so he brought this up as a way to help bring some peace to our bed. I was a little sad since it would cut into cuddle time, but I agreed. At the time, we were sharing a full-size bed since that's all we could fit into our tiny NYC apartment, and we still slept pretty close to each other, so it wasn't so bad. We've since moved out to the suburbs and are enjoying a much larger living space and are now sharing our first king-size bed. While the upgrade has been great, it feels like I'm sleeping on another continent from him. Ever since getting our new bed, he has been so much happier. He won't shut up about how much better quality sleep he's getting. Whatever, it's fine. A couple weeks ago, though, he decided to add a new feature to our bed. He stacked these 2 long pillows on top of each other and put them between us, like a stupid pillow barrier or something. Picture included. I can't help but feel a little offended that my own fiancé doesn't want to even look at me while we're in bed together. I told him I hate the barrier and I've knocked it over multiple times, but he just puts it back up each time and then tells me it's here to stay. Caleb claims that 1, serves as protection from my violent flailing limbs, 2, acts as a sound barrier because evidently I also talk a lot in my sleep and sometimes I scream, and 3, blocks some light that seeps in from our bedroom door that we have to keep open because otherwise our giant German Shepherd will lose her mind and make a scene. Last night I punched the top pillow on the barrier so hard the pillow flew across the room and Caleb had to get out of bed to reassemble the barrier, which really annoyed him. He wouldn't talk to me about any pillow barrier related topic for the rest of the night. Should I just drop it and accept this stupid pillow barrier as a part of my life now? I don't know my alternatives besides a straitjacket and maybe some type of face muffler. And for anyone wondering, we're still in love with each other and I'm not concerned about the integrity of our relationship. The sex is still great and that hasn't changed. We don't really fight or argue about anything, ever. I can't even remember the last time we got into a serious disagreement. On the spectrum of severity of relationship advice posts, I agree this is dumb. My fiancé doesn't want to sleep with me because of something I did years ago. You were right, I'm autistic. I'm the crazy person who received a swift and unified response from the post that I was wrong in the situation. I can't link my post because it was locked and then removed, but long story short, my fiancé, now husband, had constructed a pillow barrier between us in bed. This was an escalation after he had requested we use separate covers. To this poor man's defense, it is because I'm a horrible person to sleep with. I'm violent, and I talk, cry, and scream at least a few nights a week. While the pillow barrier initially hurt my feelings because I love him and our cuddle time, the feedback I received was to not be so selfish and let the man do what he can to get his sleep. Some of you were kinder than others in packaging this response, but pretty much everyone agreed. There were a few posts, though, that mentioned that the sleeping troubles I have, oversensitivity to light, sound, heat, touch, sounded like a sensory processing order and suggested I was autistic. It was hard for me to really consider that given how old I am, 38, and would have hoped it would have been caught by now. I'm no stranger to psychiatrists or therapy. Well, I started reading up on adult autism, and as I was reading typical symptoms I swear my jaw was gaped open. All these things I assumed were just quirks or otherwise unrelated characteristics of my personality were all strung together under one diagnosis. Sometimes being so nervous about when to speak up that I end up not saying anything at all. I went 3 months after starting this new job without saying a word during meetings, and then crying afterwards because I thought I was stupid and didn't deserve the promotion, difficulty coping with change, Went into a deep depression after a new job, after engagement, after we bought a house. Sensitivity to light, sound, smell, touch. I hate being touched or hugged by anyone other than my husband. Embarrassingly, I do make a lot of weird sounds and voices. I just thought I was a little quirky, but I guess it's deeper than that. The thing that got to me were autistic meltdowns. The entire reason I ever sought out therapy was because there were so many occasions where I honestly could not control my words or actions, totally blinded by emotion. I assumed this was some degenerate characteristic I inherited from my abusive father. Luckily for me, the worst it's ever come out has been as a snippy email or an annoying interaction at work. Nothing to breach professionalism, but still, these things would get me so worked up they'd consume me. I fixate on it for hours, sometimes days. Most times I wouldn't have an outburst, but keep it inside and be filled with a blind rage so strong all I could do was hold my head and cry and wait for it to be over. I'd write scathing emails to people and then delete them, make up imaginary conversations where I really let them have it, and in general just stewed in my anger. It was so bad sometimes I'd just shake and hold myself in my office to try and calm down. I started meeting with a psychiatrist to control that, which has been successful so far, I am happy to say. Well. Anyway. I told my therapist about all this and he referred me to a specialist. A child behavior specialist. It was a little embarrassing sitting in a waiting room designed for kids as a 38-year-old, but life goes on. We spent a while talking and she asked a lot of questions, but ultimately decided that my behaviors and thoughts are consistent with ASD. It's rocking my world, and a lot of my self-esteem, but at least it explains a lot. She mentioned there are a couple medications that could help my symptoms, but I'm already on Wellbutrin and Xanax and in regular therapy because of trauma I experienced and witnessed at a young age. My husband has been completely unfazed by all of this, at least. From his perspective, even if it's a new label for me, I've been able to piece together a decent life. I make good money working in a senior leadership position in a healthcare organization. I don't have many friends, but I do have a few. I love him more than anything and with the help of my therapist have spent the last year working on ways to show him how much I care and be a more present and loving partner. So there you go. Yes, I'm crazy as many of you confirmed, but now, I'm apparently autistic too. Oh, and the pillow barrier still stands.